You don't lose control because someone made you angry. You lose control because, at some point, you handed someone else the key to your mind. One criticism ruins your entire day. One unanswered message destroys your peace. One delay takes away your patience. One rejection makes you question your worth. One wrong word lights a fire inside your chest. And maybe this is one of the hardest truths in life. Most people spend years trying to control the world, but never learned how to control themselves. They want to control what other people think. They want to control who stays and who leaves. They want to control the past, the future, the way they're treated. But they can't control their own reaction to a small provocation. The Stoics understood something that sounds simple, but changes everything. You don't control what happens around you, but you can train how you respond. And once you learn that, your life stops being run by anger, anxiety, fear, pride, and neediness. Today, here on Unshakable Mind, you're going to learn 8 brutal Stoic rules to control your emotions and master yourself. Brutal, because they're not comfortable. They don't exist to comfort you. They don't exist to tell you that you're always right. They don't exist to blame the world for everything happening inside you. They exist to give you your power back. Because maybe the problem isn't just what was done to you. Maybe it's how much you still let it run your mind. Most people live like a walking button. Someone pushes it, they explode. Someone criticizes, they get defensive. Someone ignores them, they spiral into panic. Someone provokes, they have to respond. Someone disagrees, they take it personally. It's like anyone can reach straight into their emotional core. One word is enough to ruin their mood. One look is enough to create insecurity. One delay is enough to feed 1,000 thoughts. And when you live like that, you're not living. You're just reacting. Reacting means letting the world drive you. Life does something and you obey. Someone says something and you obey. A feeling shows up and you obey. The Stoic doesn't obey every impulse. He creates space. Between what happens and what you do, there's a small gap. It might be 2 seconds, it might be 1 breath, it might be 1 moment of silence, but that gap is where your freedom lives. Before you respond, breathe. Before you argue, think. Before you send that message in the heat of anger, wait. Before trying to prove your worth to someone who isn't even seeing you, stop. Ask yourself, if I do this right now, does my life actually get better? Or does my ego just feel avenged for a few minutes? That question sounds simple, but it can save relationships, opportunities, and most of all, your peace. Because a lot of the time, you don't actually want to solve the problem. You want to release the emotion. You call it honesty. But sometimes it's just lack of control. You call it having a strong personality. But sometimes it's wounded pride. You call it not letting people walk over you. But sometimes it's just an inability to stay quiet in the face of a provocation. And understand this, silence is not weakness. Silence can be mastery. Not answering a provocation can be strength. Not entering a pointless argument can be intelligence. Not trying to win every conversation can be maturity. Because not every battle deserves your energy. Some people throw out bait hoping you'll bite. If you bite, they win. They manage to pull you off your center. They manage to drag you into the same chaos they live in. The Stoic looks at the provocation and says internally, "This doesn't deserve my peace." That's the first form of power. It's not raising your voice, it's not striking back, it's not having the last word. It's controlling your first reaction. This is the foundation of Stoicism. And at the same time, it's the thing most people ignore. You don't control whether someone likes you. You don't control whether your effort gets recognized. You don't control whether someone is going to be fair. You don't control the past, the weather, traffic, the economy. You don't control whether that person apologizes. You don't control whether people talk badly about you. But you control your posture, your response. what you do with what you feel. You control your discipline, your honesty, your effort, your focus, your silence, your courage, your next choice. And here's the mistake that destroys so many people. They spend almost all their energy trying to control what doesn't depend on them, and there's almost nothing left for what actually does. You spend hours thinking about what someone meant, hours trying to understand why that person changed, hours imagining what others think of you, hours replaying old conversations, hours trying to undo a decision that's already been made. Meanwhile, your actual life stays frozen. The Stoic looks at any situation and asks, "Does this depend on me?" If it does, he acts. If it doesn't, he accepts. But accepting doesn't mean liking it. Accepting doesn't mean agreeing with it. Accepting doesn't mean settling for everything. Accepting means you stop fighting reality as it is. Because when you deny reality, you suffer twice. First, because of the problem. Then because you wanted the problem to not exist. Life already gave you one weight. Your mind picks it up and adds 10 more on top. The fact hurts. The interpretation destroys. Anxiety is often an attempt to control the future. Guilt is often an attempt to control the past. Anger is often an attempt to control people. But peace begins when you understand your limits. You weren't put on this earth to control everything. You were put here to control yourself in the face of everything. This rule is brutal because most people think that feeling something automatically means it's true. It doesn't. You can feel fear without being in danger. You can feel rejected without having been rejected. You can feel guilty without being guilty. You can feel like everything is going wrong when really you're just tired. You can feel unloved when really you're just insecure. You can feel like giving up right when you're about to grow. Your emotions are real, but they're not always reliable. They show you that something is happening inside you, but that doesn't mean you have to obey them immediately. Anger says, attack. Fear says, run. Anxiety says, control everything right now. Sadness says, give up. Pride says, don't apologize. Neediness says, chase them, even if it costs your dignity. But you don't have to do everything you feel like doing. This is one of the biggest differences between a person ruled by their emotions and a person who masters themselves. The ruled person feels and obeys. The strong person feels and observes. She says, I'm angry, but I'm not going to let this anger speak for me. I'm scared, but I'm not going to let this fear choose for me. I'm sad, but I'm not going to turn this sadness into my identity. That inner dialogue is powerful, because when you name an emotion, it loses part of its grip. Instead of saying I am anxious, say I am feeling anxiety. Instead of saying I am a failure, say I made a mistake. Instead of saying I am weak, say I am going through a hard moment. See the difference? When you say I am, you turn a passing state into an identity. When you say I am feeling, you create distance, and distance brings clarity. You are not your anger. You feel anger. You are not your pain. You feel pain. You are not your anxiety. You feel anxiety. You are the one who can observe all of it and still choose the next step. Picture your emotions as visitors knocking on your front door. Some arrive yelling. Some arrive crying. Some arrive wanting to break everything. But just because they knocked doesn't mean they get to run the house. You can listen without handing over control. You can feel without losing yourself. That's emotional maturity. This one might bother you more. Because we all like to think our suffering comes purely from what happened. But often, what hurts the most isn't the fact. It's the story we tell about the fact. Someone didn't reply to your message, that's the fact. But your mind says, she doesn't care. I'm being ignored. I did something wrong. I'm going to be abandoned. You made a mistake. That's the fact. But your mind says, I never do anything right. I'm an embarrassment. People are going to laugh at me. Someone criticized you. That's the fact. But your mind says, nobody respects me. I need to prove I'm better. I can't let this slide. Life gives you a spark. Your mind pours gasoline on it. And then you look at the fire and say, look what they did to me. Stoicism doesn't deny that real pain exists. Real losses exist. Betrayals, injustices, abandonment, they're real. But it asks, are you seeing the situation as it actually is, or are you seeing it through fear, pride, and old wounds? That question takes courage, because it's easier to blame the world than to look at how your own mind amplifies everything. A lot of the time, you're not just suffering because of the present. You're suffering because of the past that this situation woke up. A rejection today touches old rejections. A simple criticism touches old insecurities. A small absence touches old abandonment. Suddenly, you're not reacting to what happened today. You're reacting to everything that already hurt before. That's why the reaction feels so huge. It's not just about the message. It's about a wound that's still open. The Stoic doesn't ignore the wound, but he doesn't let it run his entire life either. He learns to separate. This is what happened right now. This is what my old pain is adding on top. This is what I can do about it calmly. Once you start doing this, your mind gets clearer. And a clear mind suffers less. Not because life becomes perfect, because you stop fighting ghosts. Comfort is seductive. It always offers the easier path. Stay in bed. Put it off again. Respond with anger. Take it out on someone. Lie just this once. Ignore your conscience. Go back to where you know you shouldn't. Comfort promises quick relief, but it charges a high price later. Discipline, on the other hand, is uncomfortable at first, but it gives you back your self-respect. And self-respect is one of the foundations of emotional control. A person who doesn't trust themselves becomes emotionally weak. They promise and don't follow through. They say they'll change and don't. They say they'll value themselves and settle for scraps. Over time, they stop believing their own word. And when you don't believe in yourself, any problem can knock you down. The Stoic understands that every small choice is building someone. You're always becoming something. When you choose to act out of anger, you train anger. When you choose to run, you train avoidance. When you choose discipline, you train strength. When you choose silence, you train mastery. When you choose to do the right thing, even without feeling like it, you train character. The question isn't just, what do I want to do right now? The question is, what kind of person do I become if I do this? Because sometimes, what you want right now destroys what you want most in life. You want to respond to that provocation, but you also want peace. You want to give in to laziness, but you also want a better life. You want to explode, but you also want to be respected. You have to choose. You can't feed the impulse and expect to harvest self-mastery. The life you actually want is going to require you to say no to some of your wants. And that's not punishment. That's freedom. Because whoever can't say no to themselves becomes a slave to every desire. That sentence might sound heavy, but it's one of the greatest sources of clarity that exists. The Stoics talked about death not to live in sadness, but to live in truth. Because death puts everything in its proper place. When you remember your time is limited, certain worries stop shining so bright. It makes no sense to spend years trying to impress people who don't actually care about you. It makes no sense to wreck your peace over small arguments. It makes no sense to hold a grudge as if it punishes anyone but you. It makes no sense to live putting everything off, putting off courage, putting off forgiveness, putting off change, putting off the project, putting off the hard conversation, putting off your own life. Death doesn't ask if you're ready. Time doesn't wait for you to feel confident. And here's the truth. You think you have a lot of time until you realize you've already lost too much of it. How many things are you putting off until later? How many decisions do you know you need to make but keep pushing back? How many days were spent stuck in thoughts that changed nothing? Remembering death isn't being negative, it's being honest. One day, so many things that feel enormous right now will be dust. That argument, that opinion, that person who judged you, that fear, that shame. So why hand your life over to things this small? If you only had one more year, would you keep losing sleep over someone who doesn't respect you? Would you keep delaying your own growth? Would you keep letting anger run the show? That question can hurt, but it can also wake you up. Because once you understand life is short, you stop wasting your soul. You start choosing peace, presence, courage, what actually matters. Death teaches you what the rush of daily life makes you forget. This day doesn't come back. Most people see a problem and ask, why is this happening to me? The Stoic asks, what is this trying to develop in me? That shift changes everything. While you see the obstacle as an enemy, you feel like a victim. Once you start seeing it as training, you take your power back. A difficult person can train your patience. Criticism can train your humility. A loss can train your detachment. A season of uncertainty can train your courage. Rejection can train your self-worth. A mistake can train your intelligence. This doesn't mean you have to enjoy the pain. But if the suffering is already there, you can at least pull some strength out of it. Think about someone at the gym. The weight is uncomfortable. It tires them out. But that exact weight is what builds strength. Life works the same way, more often than you'd think. The difficulty you hate so much might be training the exact part of you that needs to grow. Maybe you're being trained to stop depending on other people's approval, to say no, to trust yourself more, to act even while afraid. The problem is that most people want the strength, but reject the training. They want to be calm, but won't accept the situations that require calm. They want to be confident, but run from anything that challenges their insecurity. They want to be disciplined, but hate discomfort. There's no growth without friction. There's no self-mastery without testing. You only find out who you are when life squeezes you. It's easy to talk about peace when nobody's provoking you. It's easy to talk about strength when nothing's been taken from you. Real character shows up when you're contradicted, when you lose, when you wait, when you're misunderstood, when nobody applauds, when you want to quit. That's the moment you find out if you're actually in control or if you just looked like you were. This rule can save you years of your life. There are people who can't even handle themselves, yet they want to control you. People who live in chaos, who feed off conflict, who use guilt to manipulate, who hurt you and then act like nothing happened. People who provoke, test, yell, disappear, come back, confuse, and then tell you that you're too sensitive. If you don't have self-mastery, you'll get pulled into their game. They raise their voice, you raise yours too. They provoke, you explain yourself. They attack, you try to prove your worth, and in the end, you walk away exhausted, your peace destroyed, with nothing actually resolved. The Stoic understands that you can't have a healthy conversation with someone who isn't operating in good faith. Some battles aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be ignored. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to justify yourself to someone who already decided what they think of you. You don't have to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. Seneca believed in staying away from people who bring out the worst in you, not out of anger, but out of clarity. It's not anger, it's mental hygiene. Your peace isn't a prize that anyone gets to win just by having access to you. It needs to be protected, chosen, guarded. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for what gets into your mind. You choose which voices carry weight, which opinions deserve space, which people get access to your inner state. Mental armor isn't about walling off your heart. It's about knowing the difference between what strengthens you and what corrodes you. So let's bring it all together. Rule 1. Stop reacting to everything. Create space between the stimulus and the response. That space is where your freedom lives. Rule 2. Separate what depends on you from what doesn't. Focus only on what's within your reach. Everything else is noise. Rule 3. Don't believe every emotion that shows up. Feel it, but don't blindly obey it. Observe before you act. Rule 4. Stop making your own pain bigger. The fact is one thing. The story you tell about it can be 10 times worse. Keep the two separate. Rule 5. Choose your character over your comfort. Every small choice is building who you are. Rule 6. Remember that you are going to die. Not to live in fear, but to stop wasting the time you have. Rule 7. Turn obstacles into training. What pressures you might be exactly what's making you stronger. Rule 8. Don't hand your peace to people who can't control themselves. Protect what's yours with clarity, not anger. The Stoics weren't perfect. Marcus Aurelius made mistakes. Epictetus suffered things most of us will never have to face. Seneca had real contradictions in his life, but all of them shared one thing. They refused to let the outside world decide their size. You can make that same choice, not when everything is perfect, not when you finally feel ready. Now, with what you have, from where you are. Because mastering yourself isn't a destination. It's a practice. It's what you choose to be. Every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. If this video made you think, the next one will make you act.